right. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. And congratulations on your historic partnership with Kohl. That's so awesome.
Thank you. I am so incredibly excited about this. And, every day, I get just the sweetest messages from, people who saw and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was you. I didn't know you did that. And,
Yeah.
and then they will, they'll go and make a purchase, or they'll say to me, I had this one woman that said to me, she's one of my sorority sisters. I didn't know her, but we happen to be in the same group. So she said, she's like, yeah, I bought a couple of your pieces and, I got them home and I tried them on. And she's like, and then I went online and I ordered like 10 more.
Yes, I was looking at them. I was like, these are really cool, colorful. And I was going to talk to you about this a little later, but I like that the models were all different sizes. So like for me, who's not exactly the thinnest, I'm like, oh yeah, that would look cute on me. So definitely. But I do want to ask you, how did you get started as a designer? Like, was that what you knew you always wanted to be a designer, or that's something that happened later on?
I kind of knew I knew I wanted to be in fashion, but I didn't know what that career path would be. So and I started sewing when I was in I think I started sewing when I was like 12 years old. And my mom sent me to the girls club and I took some sewing classes and then I just started just making everything. So with the high school that I went to, it was a vocational high school, so you had to select a major, and they had fashion design. And the fashion design teacher there, Mrs. Wiggins, she took me under her wing, and and she really, just brought out the best of me as a young designer. And I had decided, probably about when I was about in the 11th grade, that I wanted to go to New York to study fashion and go to Pratt. So yeah, once I graduated, I didn't get into Pratt the first time I applied. I actually went to Tidewater Community College, which is in my town in Portsmouth, Virginia. And I took some liberal arts classes, and it was probably the smartest thing. Let me tell you, God is always looking after me, because by the time I got accepted to Pratt the following year, my mom didn't have to pay prices for liberal arts classes. So that was truly a blessing. And because I had taken all those classes already, I never had classes on Friday. And I only had a couple liberal arts. That was my freshman, sophomore year. And after that, it was all fashion. So I was able to really over deliver on the expectation as a senior. I think the expectation was like you have 3 garments in a senior show, and I was able to do like 12. And so by doing that, it allowed me to, really stand out. So they had judges there from Ralph Lauren, Adidas was there. So I got job offers. I won awards, but I got job offers. And so that is how I really got my first position. And I decided not to work with Ralph Lauren because I was going to be an assistant, and the money wasn't so great. But I could go and work for Adidas, and then I would be a designer, and the money was pretty decent. So that's where I went. And I'm happy that I did, because once I truly fell in love with activewear. I mean, like in love with activewear. And I started designing a lot of products that were making a lot of money for them. Like I've got some, if you go on my website, I've got like some vintage items, like the Burdette, which was sort of like the cult classic. But, as a result of me, designing a lot of product that was doing a lot of volume for them, they offered me a position in their international design office, and they closed their office down in New Jersey, and they put together a nice package. I got married. My husband's like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we went, and we stayed there for 2 years. And then they moved the office to Herzogenaurach, Germany. And they said, hey, Barb, what are you going to do? Come to Germany and finish your collections. And I said, well, I guess I'll just go home and find another job. And they said, why don't you stay as a consultant? And I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. And so I ended up staying as a consultant and traveled back and forth to Germany, and worked for Adidas for about 8 years.
That is the perfect example of, delayed is not denial. Like sometimes you think that, you're going for something that you get a no and then you stop there. So yeah, that's an awesome testimony right then and there in and of itself, before we get to all the other wonderful things that you've done. I was like, wow, she is awesome. So I read that you Venus Williams actually sought you out to help develop her brand. What was that experience like? Like, how did that come about?
So I had worked with one of my clients that I consulted with. So I've worked with Nike, so once I left Europe, a lot of my colleagues, because they closed the office out in France, a lot of those individuals went to other companies of that same caliber. And because I had designed a lot of product that had done well, and they kind of heard that I was doing freelance work, so they started calling me. So I went to work after I left Adidas. I went to work with Fila in Biella, Italy. Then it was NewBalance, Asics. They were all they were both in Amsterdam. I just got tired of the travel, so I started to work with Walmart. I was design director for 6 of the activewear divisions. And then I went to work for a company by the name of Jockey, which was a licensing company. And with that being said, they initially brought me in to work on FUBU, right? Because FUBU wanted to do an intimate collection, and they wanted activewear, and I do both. Mm-hmm. So, and as a result of working with this company, they called me back and they said, hey, Serena's interested in doing a dress line. Would you want to do this project with her? And I was like, heck yeah. Right. So I designed this collection for Serena, and incidentally, we were trying to get it in Kohl's. How funny is that? And we couldn't find a home for it, but I stayed in contact with her business manager, and he called me. I guess it must have been like 2 years. He said, "Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. I gave Venus your number because she's ready to reactivate 11 by Venus." Because it was in Stephen Barry's before, but then Stephen Barry's went out of business, and she was busy playing tennis, so she wasn't really doing anything with it. But then she decided, let me do something with this. And so, when somebody tells you that a celebrity is going to call you, you're like, yeah, they're going to call, right? And so I was, at my desk, just kind of doing what I do, and I get this call out of the blue, and I'm like, hey, Barb. She's like, hi, this is Venus. I'm like, Williams? She's like, yeah. Right? I'm like, yeah, can you hold on for 1 second? So I literally put the phone down, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't, like, I was like so excited. Right. And, and then I came back to the phone, hey, Venus, how are you? So yeah, we had a couple of conversations, and then she's like, hey, why don't you come out to Florida? Why don't we meet? So she flew me out to Florida, and we met, and we immediately hit it off. And, I started designing for her. I worked with V for like 4 years, and it was truly amazing. Like, I love it when you meet celebrities and they're exactly how you envision them to be. Mm-hmm. She was exactly how, but you know what? And she's funny. She's really funny. And I'm like, Venus, people don't really, like, she's comically funny. Like, she, she'll act things out, and she's just really, but she's a great sense of humor, and just an incredibly hardworking woman. And her work ethic just always just left me in awe, because, sometimes we would finish designing it 9:00 at night, and she's up at like 6 playing tennis for 3 hours. And then I'm just showering, coming downstairs to work, and she's already paid 3 hours of tennis, and I'm just waking up. So,
that is, it's amazing. And then it's also just funny to hear you say that, because after working with global brands, you were still super excited to hear from Venus. Like, you were already, that girl, so to say. You've been with Nike, you've been global, and you still got excited for Venus. That's really a good story.
Well, you know what? I had a premonition, and you know what? Because I knew that was historic for me. Mm-hmm. And when they first started to play tennis, I remember one day, they were on the television, and I said to myself, one day I'm going to design for them. And I just put it out there, and like, I don't know, 15 years later, it actually happened. So,
Wow.
So yeah, I still get excited about what I do.
So I wanted to talk about just the partnership with Kohl's a little bit, because it is historic, and I'm sure it's inspiring for so many people that are going to be reading and watching this. But I wanted to ask you, was it important to you that, the clothes look good and feel good for people of all sizes? Because like I said, a lot of times you see models and they're just these super thin models, and it really doesn't reflect the diversity of the people that will wear it. Was that important to you, and why?
Yeah, that was so, when they offered me this opportunity, they knew that they wanted me to create something that was going to be for, that D&I customer. And they gave me free reins to design whatever I wanted. And when I tell you, I've never had a company to do that before. And I knew that this was a historic opportunity because they had never done any kind of co-partnership or collaboration with a designer of color. And it was just so, like, I felt like I think I was more worried about, my culture, my community loving the products more than I think I was worried about Kohl's, because, people can be brutal on social media, brutal. And I'm like, I put so much love and interest, so much love and effort into this collection, and wanting to design something that, a woman could wear to dress up, to dress down, to go to the gym, to have something wonderful, to, something cute that she could put on. I wanted her to be able to have a cute little tracksuit that she could wear on a date if she wanted to, with a pair of heels. And I know I've got curvy sisters. Like, I'm a size 14. And I wanted to make sure that my clothes were fitting a little looser. And I wanted them to use a curvier silhouette when we were doing our fit, because, a lot of sisters are getting these BBLs now, and they've got, they're very curvy. And I wanted to make sure that I'm able to accommodate that. So I'm really happy with how everything, turned out. And it was just really important that, the D&I community just loved this as much as I enjoyed creating it.
How did you get connected with Kohl's?
So it was through a relationship. So, my relationships in creating my business has been a very integral piece to it. And, even when I worked at Adidas, and, and I forged those relationships when I was working in France, and then people left and they saw my work ethic, and they saw that, I'm good at design. And so going into their next company, people want to go into, they want familiarity, and they were already familiar with me. Like, I had a relationship with them. I understood very much activewear and how to design great products, whether it's for men's, women's, girls, boys. I kind of do it all. And so it was the same thing with this scenario, because I was hired by a gentleman at Walmart, I think about 10 years ago. And, he hired me purely based on the companies that I had worked for, and obviously my portfolio resume and that sort of thing. But I was able to go into Walmart and really, make a difference in their business, where we were doing like $700 million a season. And that's a lot of money.
Yes.
And, so I left Walmart when my mother went into hospice care, because I needed to spend time with her. And then sort of just fast forward a year ago, like, he and I stayed in contact with one another, had an anniversary or something on LinkedIn, and I just say, hey, happy anniversary. And then we just started a conversation. He's like, well, hey, what are you doing? And then it just kind of, he's like, hey, would you be interested in working with Kohl's? And I'm like, heck yeah, I'd love to work with Kohl's. So it happened just like that. Just happened to be on LinkedIn at the right time. It was all divine. I'm so certain.
Divine connections.
Yes.
I talk about networking a lot, and just how it can get you in rooms you would have never thought that you would be in. So that's awesome. What do you think has helped you? Like, what qualities or skills have you developed, do you think, that have helped you get so much success? It really seems like you had a lot of divine intervention, just, your people seeing you and loving your work and just being connected and in the right place at the right time.
It absolutely was very much divine. I pray every morning, I pray every night, and I'm always asking for those spiritual surprises, because I'm like, God, your surprises are so much better than anything I could think of, right? And so, but I think the thing that has helped me over the course of the years is that I really think about the product I design. Typically when you design a collection, you get a brief, right? And they tell you like how many styles go in the brief, and they'll say, hey, this is what we did last season. So it's about, me evolving what they've done in the past, but still aligning it with what works for that particular brand. But you have to bring that sense of freshness. And so I think that, my designs tend to be, very wearer friendly, and they seem to be functional. You get a little bit of sexiness with it always. And I think the other thing is that I'm really committed to the project, and it's very important to me that whatever has my name on it, it has a level of excellence. Like I have given it my absolute all when I turn in a project, and I'm very proud of the body of work that I have done. And and I also I like to think that I'm easy to work with. I love having fun. I'm like, yeah, work is work, but hey, we can laugh about it, right? So I love, in spending time with, companies that hire me and colleagues and things like that, sort of building a rapport with them. I enjoy that. I enjoy people. So I like to think that, my sole purpose is to make whoever the hiring manager is to make their jobs easier. And I don't like to stress people out or anything. So I really, pride myself in just being really easygoing and making sure I can come into a company and really make a difference.
Are you still doing consultant work too?
I am. So I've been a consultant for 20 years. So I am a consultant to Kohl's. I'm not a full-time employee. So so yeah, companies bring me in and work on projects. When the project is finished, they decide whether or not they want to continue the contract. Sometimes going in, company, you already know that contract is going to be, 1 year or 2 years. I mean, there's been instances where I'll go in and work on a project that's supposed to last like 6 weeks, and I'm there like two years later.
Oh, wow.
That's happened like a number of times. So yeah, I'm a consultant, and it was right before COVID that I had this bright idea that I wanted to go and work in house, because I haven't worked in house since I graduated from college and went to work for Adidas. And I thought, it'd be kind of fun to go and commute to the city, meet some new people. And then I decided, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I hate the commute. I didn't mind being in the office. I didn't mind the work at all. I felt like, again, I made a difference to the bottom line of this company. But yeah, I love consulting. I mean, it's not that I wouldn't be an in-house designer. It just has to be the right opportunity for me.
Right. Well, how do you manage your consulting business? I read that you started a new brand, Lick You Silly Pet Products, right?
Yeah, I got a dog treat.
Oh, that's so cute. I was looking at that. So how do you manage, everything that you're doing?
Well, because I love what I do, it doesn't feel like work. So like when we hang up, I've got to pack dog treats. And this is my husband and I. He just came home from work. We're going to grab some dinner. We'll pack some dog treats till about 10 o'clock, and I'll ship them out tomorrow. Like I'm just really good with managing my time. And we kind of have it down to a science. Like we've had this company now for like 4 years. So we have it down to a science at this point. And really just trying to figure out like how to scale our business, because we sell primarily on Amazon, and they have invited us to do Black Friday. So they also said, whatever you do on a monthly basis, triple it. And I was like, oh God, okay. So sometimes we have packing parties where we invite friends over, everybody mask and gloves up, and we pack. But it really is about like time management and working from home. I just work a lot of long hours, but I don't even think about it because I love what I do.
Okay. So what's the biggest lesson you've learned so far in your career?
The biggest lesson that I've learned, I think my biggest lesson has been not starting another brand like my dog treat brand, which is seasonless, not starting it sooner, not having passive income opportunities in place, so that, you know, when I'm done with a client, you know, sometimes I'll go right into a next client, or sometimes it'll take like a month, or sometimes it'll take 2 months. And it would have been wonderful had I put some passive income, you know, opportunities into the fold, you know, so that I can continue to grow other things on the side while I'm between clients. So, you know, I'm glad I had the dog treat brand, because when COVID happened, I was in discussions with was it QVC or HSN, one of them, and we were pretty much down the road with a buyer. And you know, she asked me if I could, you know, provide her, you know, a product with it was a tote bag with the dog treats. And I'm like, I went out and I sourced it all. I ordered like 300 pounds of dog treats. And I'm like, it's a great start. So let's just start there, right? And so when COVID happened and she got COVID, and someone came in to take her place, and they're like, sorry, we're not going to do dog treats. And I was like, what? But we ended up, God is good, because we ended up being an essential product for Amazon. So Amazon stopped all the companies from shipping products, and they said, these 6 categories are the only categories that can ship. And dog food and dog treats was one of them. And that is how our business completely blew up, like overnight.
And that's another example. You got to know, and it turned right into a yes. So you're like, oh no, what are we going to do? And then
I didn't know how that was going to turn into a yes. I was just like, okay, it's just going to take us a minute, you know, to get through these dog treats. And we actually do it out of our home. So I'm like, it's just going to take a minute to get through these dog treats. And then, you know, when that happened, and people started to adopt dogs, I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So we were able to get rid of those dog treats in like, I don't know, 10 days maybe.
Wow. Goodness.
Yeah.
So do you have any tips for people that want to market their business?
Tips for people who want to market their business. I mean, you know, I don't know if that's like, I think it just depends on the business, you know, to understand, like, you know, what are the tools that you need in order to market it? Like, you know, what are some of the, you know, come up with like creative ideas, right? Or because for my dog treats, for instance, I'll talk about my dog treats, right? So with regards to the marketing for my dog treats, I always try to come up with really fun, creative initiatives that are going to resonate with people. Like, for instance, I have something called, I have this little card like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I have this little card that I put in randomly in a bag, and it's called Lick Silly with Kindness. Wow. And when you get one of these, there's a number on the back. You go to the website, you tell us the number, and then you have to do a random act of kindness, film it, tag us on social, and your dog wins a free bag of dog treats. So it's kind of like a way for your dogs to get their humans to do some kind things, right? Because my dog treat brand is built on love and kindness, and I try to, you know, implement that as much as possible. Like, I put a heart inside, you know, all of my orders. You know, it's just me giving a little love back to people who support me. So, I mean, I love creative marketing, right? Because when you think about dog treats, the market is saturated. It's a lot of people who make dog treats, but, you know, you have to really think about the big picture. So for me, it was like being you know, doing graphics. Like, I designed my packaging, and my daughter designed my dog because she's a graphic artist, but I wanted to have something that was going to stand out on the shelves. So I wanted the bag to be taller, because I wanted it to so my bag is only half full, and I pay the extra because I want it to have some stature when it's on a shelf, right? And so there's a lot of things that you have to think about that, with regard to your brand, and it's different for so many brands, right? So I would just say to someone, the advice is, just get creative. Like, I love making lists. I watch a lot of YouTube, just getting ideas from other entrepreneurs. Love TikTok in terms of great ideas. Even with my company, sometimes, like, I'll have, like, you've been lick silly with freebies. Like, sometimes I'll double people's orders just because, no reason, just random. And people really, really like that, so I would just say, I'm sorry.
I said it'll keep people coming back. You'll retain your customers. They're like, oh wow, that was so nice.
Yeah, we get a lot of repeat business, and I love freebies, and I don't mind giving people freebies. They place an order, I always try to throw a little something extra in if I have it. Sometimes I don't. Like, we've got orders that I've got to pack tonight, and we literally just got in 14 boxes of dog treats that are sitting in my living room right now.
So I just have two more questions. What does the future look like for you? I know you said you want to find a way to scale the dog treat business. Is there anything else you want to try to do, or you plan on doing in the future?
Yeah, oh gosh. Well, what I really love to do, I love to create brands, right? So, and I love to see something, to create something and then bring it to life, right? So when I created my dog treat brand, it was like it didn't exist, right? I had to come up with a name. I had to trademark the name. I didn't get the first trademark. So I had to, go through a rebranding, even though packaging was already packed. So, and then from there, finding a supplier who would even sell to me. Like, I was clear that I wanted to sell a premium product, and to be able to find a supplier that was willing to sell me such small quantities, that took a really long time, and my dogs had to test it, and so it was a little bit of a process. So it's so rewarding when I can actually hold a bag of dog treats up and know that everything that went into it was because of the effort that I made. So I love creating brands. I love going through that process. And I think that's what interests me about being a consultant, because when I go into a company, it's a brand new project, right? And it's a project that I haven't done before. So I come to it with very fresh eyes and a very fresh perspective. And I think that's, what I've done with Kohl's, just kind of coming in and stepping into this with a very fresh perspective, and not really thinking about like what's been done in the past, but really just talking about, how do we move forward, and how do we get this customer that we want to shop in our stores, and making sure that we're servicing that customer. So I would love to continue my journey with Kohl's, because I just love working for this company. I love the product. I love that people are coming to shop there because they love the product. And so I've also written a children's book that it's just a matter of time for me to publish it, and I wanted to publish it for the holidays, so I'm still hoping that I can get to that. And then I'm writing a book about marketing that will come somewhere later down the road. And I'm also again, I want to scale my dog treat brand, but I also want to start purchasing some Airbnbs. So that's really like the next thing that's on my list.
Wow. And so my last question is, who are you outside of the businesswoman and, mogul that you are? If you could describe yourself in a few words, what would they be?
Gosh, outside of myself, I'm very much intertwined with my business. It's such a part of me. I love spending time with my family and my girlfriends. I love doing that. I love being at home, cooking. I'm a really good cook. So I love to cook with my friends and family, and, invite them over. I love entertaining. I love, going into the city, going to museums, spending time with my husband. We've been married now 34 years.
Oh, wow. That's a show in and of itself. How did you do that?
Yeah, he's a pretty awesome guy. And I still like him a lot. So, So yeah, I mean, I feel like the woman that I am, everything that I do is creative. Everything that I do, other than sleeping.
Mhm.
So, excuse me. So, I don't know if I really have any words that could really describe that, other than just, I'm creative. I'm a loyal friend. I love empowering women. I love, I'm such a huge cheerleader for women, especially women of color. Like, it just makes me, just so proud when I see women of color just doing like incredible things, and I'm like, yeah, you go, girl, you go. Like, I'm
Yeah.
genuinely so happy to see them win, because I know it's been a long time coming for us. So, you know, yeah, I'm just enjoying life, and just, you know, following a path that I believe that, God has set forth for me. So that's
Mhm.
what I do.
Well, thank you again. You really inspired me. Congratulations again on making history. And I look forward to just seeing what you have coming up in the future.
Thank you so much. So I just want to remind people, if they want to see the collection, it's under Kohl's Tek Gear. It's the BCR collection, and you can find it on kohls.com. And then I'd love to invite them, if they want information, if they want to have a conversation with me, certainly about their business, about their marketing and branding, they can go to my website, barbara-clarke-ruiz.com, or follow me on social media on Instagram and TikTok. So
Okay.